Growing my crypto portfolio to $1 million. So this week the portfolio was up $69.99. So the positions or I guess the positions that I've traded um, in this crypto portfolio has been Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum, and Doge. Currently, the biggest position I'm in right now is Dogecoin. Right now, we are down 10 grand. I know it sounds horrible to hear that, but at this point, it is what it is. But I'm very confident that maybe we can make a sudden U-turn all of a sudden. And so basically, also I want to talk about the um, the position that I have in this Bitcoin ETF. It's a 2 times Bitcoin ETF. So I'm currently investing 11 grand so far into it. So I did get into this position on the 29th. So let's look at specifically Bitcoin right now. So looking at Bitcoin to, right now it's down 26% on the daily chart. It is above the 20-day moving average. So currently, the way I see it, on the daily chart, if we're above the 20-day moving average, the next thing that we need to do is that we need to break this stubborn resistance of 65,500. So that's the next resistance that we need to break. Then we can approach this previous high of 66,914. Once we can break first the range of 65,500, cool. Then that's when we'll start seeing Bitcoin start going up. But it's looking like it's having a little trouble. I guess yesterday, Friday, the high was 65,343. So it barely approached that, resistance level of 65,500. And then today the high was 65,149. So once we break that, first things first, right? Once we break that resistance level of 65,500, then we can try to break that resistance level of 66,914. Once we break that level of resistance, then we're going to try to approach the 180-day moving average, and then we're going to try to break the 180-day moving average, and then we're going to try to break the 200-day moving average. So that's what I think about, currently about Bitcoin. So on the 30-minute time chart, so today, let's look at Bitcoin today. And let's see. So in the pre-market, it was doing pretty good from 6 o'clock. Well, let's see. Yeah, from let's start at 6 o'clock. So basically, ever since 6 o'clock, we've been using the 50-day moving average as support. I used it here. We got a little bounce off here at the 8-minute candle, and we saw a huge bounce to the upside from here. Now currently, what's kind of worrying, I don't even know how to say it, but basically what's kind of worrying me is that basically the 9-day moving average just crossed over below the 20-day moving average, and now the 9-day moving average is, it's crossed below the 50-day moving average. So usually when these two moving averages, when the 20 is above the 9-day moving average, just how you see how it looks like in the chart, like right now, usually that indicates that we're gonna start seeing a little bit of more downside towards the day. So maybe we could see, possibly later on, Bitcoin approach this level of support, which is the 180-day moving average. If it breaks the 180-day moving average, then we're going to approach the 200-day moving average. So now the next thing I do want to talk about is basically what do I think about Dogecoin, right? So Dogecoin, it's, I guess what I did was I chased a high a little too aggressively, and basically I kind of regretted, but at the same time I was like, but then again, what happens if it were to make a sudden pop to the upside, like what happened here? You know, I was like, it could happen, but then I was like, then again, you could, not, that couldn't happen. So I was, a little too aggressive when I started dollar cost averaging into Dogecoin. So I feel like I should have waited a little bit longer, but nonetheless, it is what it is at this point, because I'm like, well, it's a long term crypto portfolio. Obviously, investing into speculative tokens like Solana, Dogecoin, etc. Those aren't good investments, but I was willing to take the risk, so I was like, why not, right? But that's why I've also taken the position to, in the crypto portfolio, I was like, okay, well, I like what Bitcoin is at. I like where Bitcoin is at. I feel like maybe eventually, by the end of this year or by next year, in the middle of the half year of next year, right? I feel like Bitcoin will be back to its normal levels of being in the 100,000 range. So I feel like a lot of people might take this opportunity to, like, get into Bitcoin once, before it starts ripping back to those levels of, in the 100,000 range. So, yeah, I feel like, I was like, I'll take the opportunity. I'll just buy a 2 times Bitcoin ETF. And, I was like, if that Bitcoin 2 times ETF does manage to, go up all of a sudden, if Bitcoin starts to go up all of a sudden, I'm going to make 2 times what I would, instead of what I would invest into Bitcoin just regularly. So I was like, okay, let me just invest into the Bitcoin ETF. And if, Bitcoin does decide to go back to the 100,000 range, I calculated the position. So I think if it were to reach 105,000, the position, instead of being, so basically that $11,000 investment would be now worth, I think, 33,000. So, that is if, Bitcoin does reach that level of 105,000 by, by the end of this year or by next year in the middle of the year. So we'll have to see what happens. So that's an update on the crypto portfolio. I'm excited to see what's going to happen later on. So that is pretty much it. I'll keep you guys updated. And if you sign up with my Webull link located in the description below, you can get up to 10 free fractional shares. That is pretty much it. I'll keep you guys updated in the next video. As always, peace.